Alright, new videos keep coming. Now I'm on the roll, and this time it's time for a game review that I've been planning to do quite a while now, and I have mentioned it on my previous video also. So now it's time for Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. Literally, it's about time for my review too of the game on PS4. I have it digitally, so I don't have the actual physical game to show you. Otherwise, I would have shown the game for you, but it's digitally, and I gotta say I have not completed it, but I'm far enough. I think I'm far enough to be able to do a review of the game. I think I'm at 5th or even 6th. I think 5th world, or era, time, because the game, like the title says, it's about time. You time travel to different time periods. So yeah, so let's get to the review. And first of all, this game is fucking hard as nails. At first I thought that maybe they have modernized the game, like making it easier, much easier than the first 3 games. But oh man, this may be the hardest Crash Bandicoot so far. I mean, yeah, the first 3 were hard. Not actually the third one, but the first and second were really hard, especially the first original Crash Bandicoot. But oh, this is hard. I was not expecting that, to be honest. Crash Bandicoot 4 is freaking hard, period. And there's 2 modes. The classic mode that gives you lives, and when you run out of lives, you start over the level and not being able to use the checkpoints like in the previous games. But I chose modern mode, and there is in modern mode there are no limits to the lives, so it just counts how many times you die during the level. For example, 15, 20, 30. Like me. I died a lot in this game. So the reason why I actually started the game with modern mode is because I played the demo, and the demo was available only for those who pre-ordered the game digitally. So I downloaded the demo, and there were, I think, 3 levels in the demo, and I immediately saw that okay, this game is hard. This really surprised me. It's much harder than I thought. So yeah, I decided that when the actual full game releases, I'm going to play. I'm going to choose the modern mode, because yeah, let's be honest, I'm not that good in platforming games. I mean, I love platforming games, but I'm not so good. I'm not so good at them. So and my patience is not uh, not that good that I would want to struggle with the game, so I chose the easier way and more enjoyable way to play it with modern mode. Um, so yeah, and about the let's next talk a little bit about the actual gameplay, and it's very basic. It is very loyal to the first three Crash Bandicoot games, as I was expecting. uh, it's like it's so spot on with the PS1 classics that it's pretty much, you can just say it's a new basic Crash Bandicoot with just modern graphics and some modern. Of course, there are some new features uh, like time slowing with different masks, using different masks. The masks give you a different skills with Coco and Crash, and uh, I can't remember how many masks there are, and I'm not even sure if I have seen all the masks yet. Uh, but I've seen a couple of masks, and one like slows time, and the other mask is like you can kind of spin on the air and uh, uh, float on for big distances. So and that's quite hard. I mean, that has given me some problems for sure, using that mask. And of course, the some levels really use the time slowing mask, and some sections can be so freaking hard, at least for me. And yeah, so there are, as you might expect, there are levels that are like side scrolling, like the old ones, and then there are levels you it's behind the Crash and Coco, so just like in the old ones. And there are some vehicles like the uh, water scooter or something like that, like in the old ones. And um, and of course there are. I can't think of any other vehicles right now. And of course there are those chase levels where some monster like dinosaur or some other monster or enemy chases you and you run towards the camera. Uh, those basic levels are here too. And yeah, it's pretty basic, very familiar with the old ones. So I'd say only those masks giving you different skills uh, makes a somewhat big difference with the rest of the games. And one other thing is that uh, there are more characters to play, not just Coco and Crash, and there are like Dingodile, you play as Dingodile. Some levels is just particularly for Dingodile, and some levels you play as Tona, and some levels you play as Dr. Neocortex. And they feel very different than Coco and Crash. Dingodile has this like vacuuming or sucking device, if you would say, or uh, you for example suck like TNT crate and then shoot it forward to kill the enemies and stuff like that. And Tona has the grappling hook, and Neocortex has the kind of, I don't know, it's a kind of gun that you do platforms with it. You freeze, I think you freeze, you can freeze some enemies to make them as platforms for you and stuff like that. And still I don't know if there are even more playable characters. But yeah, Dr. Cortex, Dingodile and Tona at least. But there might be some more. That remains to be seen as I progress through the game further. And talking about the graphics are made by Unreal Engine. They look very pretty for the most part, but it's not like jaw-droppingly good looking game. It looks good, but not awesome. But I was not expecting it to look like jaw-dropping. It's not the prettiest games on last generation consoles, Xbox One and PS4, but it definitely looks good enough in my eyes. And sound and music, well, they really nailed the soundtrack. It's so familiar with the old. It sounds like the old game's soundtrack. It's very crashy. Let's say it's very crashy soundtrack. Very familiar stuff there. Nothing more to say about it. It's very good if you like the Crash soundtrack and music in Crash games. Then you are going to be not going to be disappointed. And sound effects, they are very basic and actually uses many same sound effects like in the earlier games. For example, the Wumpa Fruit collect sound and destroying the crates. It pretty much sounds the same. So it's very familiar also in that case. And what other to say about well, there is one big difference, that there's a multiplayer, but I was a little bit disappointed. I was expecting to see like simultaneous multiplayer, that two players can play at once. In the same time, but it's a kind of pass the controller multiplayer. So you play like time attacks on levels. You go from checkpoint to checkpoint, and then you pass the controller to other player, and he goes from that same checkpoint to next checkpoint. And whoever gets the fastest time wins. So it's a kind of pass the controller, kind of party multiplayer mode. And there are a couple of multiplayer modes there, but I have to say I have not tested any of those. I have just read and heard about and seen some YouTube videos, the gameplay of the multiplayer modes. But yeah, of course that's a good extra to have, because the previous 3 games didn't have any multiplayer, so I guess any multiplayer is welcomed addition. So that's pretty nice addition to the Crash 4. Um, what else to say? Well, about the levels and time periods slash worlds, of course there are time eras where you go to the past, even to the era of dinosaurs and stuff like that. And then there are more like present time eras, something like about 100 years ago, so early uh, early 19,000 era and 18,000 era, and then you go to the future also. So of course there's past, present and future time periods, and they differ from the snowy levels, uh, futuristic city levels, and of course those familiar jungle levels that are more like present day. And there's a very good variation on levels and the environments, like you would expect from Crash Bandicoot games, because on earlier Crash games there has been a very good amount of variation on levels and environments. So really nothing new in there either. So now it's time to actually give the score of the game, and like I said, I have not completed it, but I'm far enough to give it a reliable score. I think I've seen enough of the game, and I would give it 8.5 out of 10. It's really good, actually better than I expected, but also it's really hard as nails. So if you like challenge, and if you were afraid that they have modernized the game too much, making it like very easy, that's bullshit. It's not easy at all. And like me playing the modern mode, I still have so much frustration and there's so much challenge. I can't even think about playing it with classic mode. Like, no way. I could try when some levels, some maybe early levels, after I have completed the game in modern mode. But if you like challenge, you get this game. If you like challenge and platforming games, this is the #1 choice for you, I can say. And yeah, it took them like 22 years 22 years between Crash 3 and 4, and they succeeded. I mean, they had big shoes to fill to make a successful and good sequel to Crash 3 Warped, and they nailed it. I'm even pretty shocked that they nailed it. They really succeeded in doing a great sequel after all those years. So, and of course, I was like, when I heard that there will be a Crash 4, I was like, is this some kind of joke? Like, why now? And I was in disbelief first, but then I just, okay, this may actually be true. We are getting Crash 4, and yeah, it just feels so unreal at first, but yeah, I am pretty impressed what they made. It's not perfect by any means, but it's very good. So yeah, that's about that review, and I'm thinking ahead that what maybe could be my next review, because I think the next video will be some game review, but I have not yet decided what it will be. But yeah, I'll give this 8.5 out of 10, and yeah, very good job for Toys for Bob, which was the developer. The same developer that made the Spyro Reignited trilogy, remakes of all those 3 Spyro games. So yeah, at least the Crash 4 was in the good hands. But yeah, that's it, and see you in the next video. As usual, whatever it is. And bye.